Hello everyone. Welcome to Sick Fix, aka the tough ones, Tsunderes, and usual caretakers having a fever. Now, these are Sick Fix. However, the more perceptive of you may have noticed that there's no word challenge in the name of this video. So, let's go into it. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who still watch my videos. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the uploads and check out the members only posts. There wasn't a single doubt on Gintaro's mind that he chose the best person to spend his life with. Not that he ever doubted that, but now, seeing Shigeru fussing around Aiko like the incredible father he was, he couldn't but melt every time. As self-centered as it might sound, he knew Shigeru would be the best father to their little bundle of joy, and all the kids that could potentially come later. With his kind heart and caring personality, he was perfect for the role. He just had to make sure his husband didn't slip into the overthinking spiral again. Which is easier said than done, but that's how it had always been. Though that's the least I can do for him now. He smiled when he entered the living room, spotting Shigeru entertaining Aiko with some plush toys. Shigeru called it bonding, as if the little girl wasn't already obsessed with him. It is in Kyoto genes after all. He was glad for that though. He wasn't sure what he would do if Aiko decided Shigeru wasn't worth her love. Like this, however, there was nothing he would have to worry about. Maybe besides some minor setbacks. But that was fine. The important thing now was to be together. Something he was never going to complain about. Enjoying yourself without me again, huh? Ken? Oh, you can join us if you want. I think Aiko was looking for you anyway. Aiko pumped her little arms as if in agreement, making the toys in her hand rattle, and Kentaro chuckled. That's nice to know I'm wanted. He leaned down to seal Shigeru's lips with a kiss before he could say something self-deprecating, giving himself a mental warning to ward his teasing better. While his husband was the strongest person he knew, he was unfortunately also in a rather vulnerable state right now. If it was because of their new role as parents, or because of something else, Kentaro wasn't sure. But he would be damned if he did anything to hurt his beloved. He blinked a few times when his head spun the moment he straightened up again, the flash of lightheadedness ringing a warning bells in his mind. And not just his. Are you okay? It's fine. Just a change of pressure, I guess. How about we head outside, I need to take Bruno on a walk anyway, so we can all go together. Bruno, apparently alerted by the word outside, huffed in excitement, rushing into the hallway before coming back a few seconds later with the leash in his mouth, his tail wagging wildly. He seems up for it. Shigeru chuckled and carefully picked Aiko from the blanket. Let's go then. Fresh air is good for everyone. It soon became quite clear to Kentaro that he might have made a mistake with suggesting a walk. Not because he didn't want to, but because his head started to absolutely killing him the moment they stepped outside of their house. It only got worse the longer they walked, his jacket making him feel hot and freezing at the same time. Yet he hadn't said a word about it, determined to push through until they were at least back home to not cut the outing too soon. Are you sure you are okay? You look horrible. So much so for trying to hide anything. He still forced a smile, gently pinching Shigeru's cheek. I'm absolutely fine. No, you aren't. Kentaro sighed, and as much as he wished he could pretend better, he realized he had no chance of talking his way out of this. Okay, I guess I'm not. Might be some light fever, no idea from what. Cool hand touched his forehead, bringing relief and shivers at the same time. Why didn't you say so before? You should have stayed home. I didn't want you to go alone. We would have Bruno with us. He caught Kentaro's hand, his grip not allowing any protest, and steered the stroller towards their home. Come on, let's head back. You need to go to bed. Once home, Shigeru quickly undressed Aiko from her outside onesies and put her back into the crib before he was pushing Kentaro into the bedroom, grabbing an extra blanket along the way. Don't you dare to get up unless it's to go to the bathroom. And no coming close to Aiko or you'll get her sick too. I would never even think of that. Good. Despite his stern tone, his motions were steady and gentle, caring in a way Kentaro always saw his mother be. It only strengthened his conviction that Shigeru was the best parent material, even though he didn't see it in himself. And so he did as he was told, huddling into the covers as if it was his cocoon, and only hummed when Shigeru caressed his cheek. Rest, okay? I'll make you some soup. Don't forget yourself. Fine, I'll make us some soup. Bruno, make sure he doesn't get up, okay? As if understanding every word, Bruno barked quietly and jumped on the bed, taking his place by Kentaro's side like the guardian he was, only letting out a whine when Kentaro scratched his head. No worries, I'm a good patient. Sure. Light kiss landed on Kentaro's forehead. Rest, I'll come back soon. And Kentaro had no mind to protest, if only not to worry Shigeru further. He felt bad enough already for making his husband take care of him when they were still fresh parents with enough worries to make their heads explode. However, it only took him one look at Shigeru's focused face when he came back later with hot soup and some vitamins to realize that maybe his sickness was a little blessing in disguise. As long as something took Shigeru's mind off of his anxiety, everything was alright. There were things Semi couldn't explain for the life of him. For example, how some people managed to be so stupid to argue with him about something that was clearly written on the same paper they waved in front of his face. Or how Kosuke managed to be the sweetest and cutest angel all the time, on a more positive note. Or how his throat could ache so much now when he was so careful to not speak over his limits. Perhaps it was connected to the strange tiredness that settled in his muscles and bones yesterday. He barely managed to get up from the bed and go to work, and by the end of the day he was ready to faint. Back then, he blamed it on such stupidity of people. But now, as he laid his hand against his warm forehead, he came to a conclusion that the issue might be elsewhere. Not that it makes things better. On the contrary, it made things even more difficult. For one, because he had no idea how his still not healed throat would react to a sickness, and two, because he would have to bother Shirabu, who was busy as it was again. His first instinct was to not say a word and just deal with it by himself while Shirabu was at work. However, after the last time and him pouring his heart out about his fears and nightmares, he didn't want to hide anything anymore. The destroyed look on Shirabu's face was enough to repel him from hiding things about his health indefinitely. At least I can ask him if I need to be extra careful with my throat or not. He carefully made his way through the flat, leaning on the wall a few times to keep balance. But to his surprise, Shirabu was nowhere to be found. Weird. I didn't hear him leave at all. With a startle, he rushed to Kosuke's crib, but then breathed a sigh of relief when he found the little boy happily snoozing away. Strange, he didn't wake me up when Ko is here. Sure, he can't climb out yet, but he's always all about at least one of us keeping an eye on him. Maybe he left in a hurry? That wouldn't be that weird. He couldn't recall Shirabu mentioning he had an emergency shift, but if the hospital was unexpectedly understaffed, he wouldn't be surprised if everyone was called in. With a soft sigh, he accepted his fate and stepped back from the crib to not infect Kosuke too, and slowly headed to the kitchen to make himself some tea. The last thing he wanted was to disturb Shirabu when he was taking care of patients, but on par with his new determination to be open with his boyfriend, he sent Shirabu a quick text informing him of his state before he went back to bed to huddle under the blanket. As much as he wished to sleep the sickness off, he couldn't fall asleep when he was alone at home in case Kosuke woke up, since he couldn't trust himself with waking up upon hearing cries, meaning he had one long day ahead of him. Damn this. Apparently, he didn't manage his task of not falling asleep that well. He could definitely imagine a more pleasant wake-up call than being shaken like a madman, a voice he would recognize anywhere berating him with words he couldn't decipher at first. Eita! Groaning, he forced his eyes to open, finding Shirabu's face hovering above him. Oh, thank goodness. Can you not cause me a heart attack first thing in the morning? He didn't get further as Shirabu laid his fingers over his lips to silence him. But even that one word was enough to shoot a flame through his throat. Don't talk, not if your throat hurts. I got you a drink that will help you, so try to stay awake until I make it, okay? Semi just nodded, only slowly piecing together the events of the day. Guilt hit him like a pile of bricks for not watching Kosuke, but a quick glance at the clock told him he slept at most for an hour and not the whole day like he worried. It was still far too long considering he was supposed to take care of a baby. Damn you, Eita. Can't even do one thing right. Here, drink it. Slowly. He did as he was told, wondering how upset Shirabu was with him right now. He couldn't tell much from his expression alone, something he accounted to the fact that his mind was much foggier than when he woke up the first time. As if reading his thoughts, Shirabu laid his hand against his forehead, his brows furrowing. Nasty fever you are running there. Ah, that explains it. Biting on his lip, he risked reaching for Shirabu's hand, surprised when the doctor squeezed it tight. You scared me. I read the text and tried to call you, but you didn't pick up even on like 5th try. I thought you fainted somewhere again. Tilting his head, Semi suppressed a wince with the motion and reached for the notebook and pen still resting on the bedside table. Sorry, I was trying not to fall asleep, but I guess it got too much. It's fine. I'm just glad you're alive. And, thanks for actually telling me you aren't well. I didn't want you to worry. I just wasn't sure if you aren't with patients, so I didn't call. A tiny smile curled Shirabu's lips, the gentle brush against his cheek tingling on Semi's skin. It was just a home call, so I didn't want to wake you up for that since I was supposed to come home soon anyway. Are you hungry? You should eat something before going back to bed. Semi nodded, even though his appetite was lower than none, but he understood where Shirabu was coming from. At least he wouldn't wake up because of hunger later on. Okay, I'll make you something. Stay in bed, alright? I'll get you another blanket. Like the good patient he was, Semi followed the instructions to a T, only realizing how cold he was when Shirabu put the second layer over him. He stared at the ceiling when Shirabu went away to get him some food. Too tired to think, but still eternally grateful for having someone like Shirabu for a partner. Much to Ennoshita's concern, he started to feel more and more drowsy as the day went on, enough so that one of his patients even asked if he needed to sit down. He didn't, because that would be highly unprofessional, and managed to get himself together enough to finish the physio session, but that little comment was enough to ring alarm bells in his mind. Still having the previous two incidents, which, after they talked about it with Tanaka, were too similar to not be connected, vividly in his memory definitely didn't help calm him down. However, he was sure he hadn't eaten and drunk anything he didn't bring from home, so how would the someone sneak something into him? I don't think I left anything out in the open either. What the hell is going on? He rubbed his eyes to get rid of the exhaustion, and then paused when he realized how warm his skin was to the touch. That didn't happen before. Huh. He could clearly hear Tanaka's soft reproaching voice telling him that he took quite long to figure out what was wrong for someone so smart when, after long minutes of pondering, his mind finally caught up on the fact that he was running a fever, at the very least. Great. With a sigh, he knocked on the reception door to let the nurses there know he couldn't risk taking care of patients while sick, and then slumped back into the chair with his phone in hand. The last thing he wanted was to worry Tanaka again, considering the similarities between today and before, but he wasn't sure how well he would manage to walk the whole way home. It only took few beeps for Tanaka to pick up. Yeah, everything okay? It could be better. Are you free right now? I'm with Psycho in the mall, remember? Why? What happened? His voice quickly turned serious and on high alert, making Ennoshita feel even more guilty for ruining his fiancé's afternoon spent with his sister. He already had so few chances to go out with his family as of lately, and today he wanted to make it special since he planned on extending the wedding invites. And you are messing it up for no reason. Nothing happened. I'm sorry, it's fine. Tell Psycho I say hi, okay? No. Don't you dare to hang up on me now. You wouldn't call unless something wasn't right, and I'm already on the line, so spill it. Are you upset? No, He sighed. Of course not. But I'm really worried right now. You sound strange. Is it the same thing again? No. At least I don't think so. I think I have a fever. Fever? Maybe. Or cold. I'm not sure. Okay. Do you feel really sick? I'll come for you. No, you don't have to. Finish what you've been up to. It's not that bad. I just don't know if I'll be able to navigate the way well. Tanaka hesitated, judging by the prolonged silence on the other end, but then seemed to come to trust his words. Okay, but don't go anywhere alone. Stay at the clinic. I'll pick you up in about an hour, alright? And call me if it gets worse. I will. Thank you. Just stay safe, okay? Love you. With that, the call ended, leaving Ennoshita in the silence of his office. He stared at the phone screen for a little while longer before his head started to fall, and he had to strain all his remaining strength to not hit the table. He couldn't feel the dizziness and blank mind like in the 2 cases before, confirming his suspicion that he was just damn tired and sick. Considering the season, he should have probably expected that sooner or later. It's still kinda annoying. A soft knock on the door made him raise his eyes, his head tilting instinctively when he spotted one of the few part-time physiotherapists the clinic employed. He recalled meeting the man several times, all pleasant encounters unlike with some of the older part-timers. Hi, sorry to bother you, Ennoshita-san, but I heard from Haruka that you are sick. Oh, yeah, but it's alright. Probably a common cold, nothing serious. He tried for a smile, even though his body was killing him right now. The man also didn't seem convinced. Right, but either way, do you want a lift? I just finished and I have a car here, so if you want, I can drop you off at home. That honestly sounded like salvation to Ennoshita's ears. The prospect of having to wait at the clinic for another hour making him even more tired. He was already opening his mouth to gratefully accept when he stopped. Thank you for the offer, but my partner is on the way to pick me up already. I wouldn't want to chase him here just for him to miss me. The man seemed confused by his answer, and to be honest, so was Ennoshita. He wished nothing more than to be home already, preferably with a mug of hot tea in his hands and wrapped in 2 or more blankets, but something held him back. Not wanting to inconvenience his colleague? Or explaining it to Tanaka, who would probably get even more concerned? Perhaps both. Are you sure? It's not an issue, really. And you don't look too well. It's alright. But thank you. I appreciate your consideration. The other hesitated, but eventually nodded and smiled. Alright, if you are sure. Get well soon. I'll try my best, thank you. He waited until the door closed again before he took a deep breath and let his head fall on the desk. For a while, only focused on his breathing. He hadn't felt so exhausted in ages, maybe only back in university before the final exams. At least now he had Tanaka to help him, as much as he didn't want to burden him with more work. Tanaka was adamant in this regard, however, his wish for him to rely more on others resonating through Ennoshita's numb mind. And in the end, it was nice to have someone to lean on. Another, slightly softer knock made him groan quietly. Before he could raise his head again, footsteps approached his desk, and then a large hand gently combed through his hair.
You look awful.
Thanks. He finally managed to look up, meeting with Tanaka's clearly worried eyes. You were early.
Yeah, well, you sounded really weird, so I just headed here immediately anyway.
Come on, let's get you home. You need to go to bed. The way home felt like one big blur, but Tanaka's presence next to him and the steady hand on his thigh kept him grounded enough he managed not to fall asleep before entering their flat. Tanaka also did a quick job of helping him change into something better suited for sleep, and then nudged him to bed, only running off to bring back water and a thermometer.
39.4, yeah, no wonder you are out of it.
Do you think you'll be able to eat something, or do you want to sleep a bit first? Sleep. I can't think anymore. With a soft smile curling his lips, Tanaka nodded and helped him lie down, leaving a kiss on his forehead.
Yes then, okay?
I'll order us dinner in the meantime. I'm sorry.
For what?
Ennoshita sighed, hesitantly reaching for Tanaka's hand. For messing up your plans.
Oh please, there'll be another time. And I did tell Psycho about the wedding before you called, so the goal was fulfilled. I'm just glad you called me, you know. Imagining you would walk home in this state, that's scary.
Ennoshita had to agree, but he no longer had the strength to respond. Tanaka seemed to understand and kissed his forehead again, squeezing his hand one last time.
Get some sleep. I'll wake you up later.
Thank you. Love you.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. So yeah, these are not going to be a challenge, but more of a snippets from the storylines when the tough ones and caretakers and Tsunderes from each relationship will suffer some kind of sickness. I put in fever, but it can be whatever. And yeah, we didn't have any sick fix as of lately, so I hope you are looking forward to seeing more, because there will probably be all the ships that I write for, plus there's going to be one special part at the very end. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.